Now, the staircase we went up has been restored. This is an unrestored staircase. To give you some idea of what a staircase looks like after 1,930 years.
I know.
It looks like the bricks from nowadays.
Some of them are.
Oh.
So they've done restoration job on it.
So those are the original bricks right there.
Some of them, yeah, they put concrete over the top of it just to try and keep it static.
Wow. And this is original too?
Some of it will be, this won't be, but this might be here. You see the difference?
So this is for fortification?
No, it's not fortification, this is part of the wall. I'll explain it to you. When we'll go around the side, you'll see the stage in a moment.
Wow, this is beautiful. Do you feel kind of like the energy here? It's very amazing. It's very different.
I've got a friend that studies Byzantine coins in Sicily.
Oh, really?
He was quite worried about this. He calls it the degrading of the lead. There's no the bronze. The bronze that degrades.
The bronze, sometimes you have a bronze disease.
Yeah.
So it's like this green stuff that covers it, and once the coin gets that, I don't know how to cure it, so I try to sell the coin quick.
They can't. I don't think they can.
Yeah, so eventually it just the coin dies, you know, it turns into green powder. But most of the coins stay fine. But you wanna keep the bronze away from. Yeah. So tell me a little bit about this.
Okay. This stage down here is modern.
Yeah.
It's a partial reproduction of the complete stage, which would have gone from where that woman is there with the red handbag or whatever she's wearing, right up to where those people are standing over there. It's a perfect oval.
Oh, wow.
It would have been completely covered in sand, and the Roman word for sand was arena, which gives us arena.
Ah.
Don't use the word arena. Think about where it comes from. And the sand was there to soak up the blood, and it would have had to have been changed quite regularly. Okay.
Oh.
And so they've done a partial reconstruction of it. Beneath this planking and this sand, you actually would have had the pit. Now, if you think of it in theatrical terms, when you look at a theatre today, it's got wings, it's got a curtain. So when the curtain comes down, you can do a scene change. The actors are in the wings and they're moving from one side of the stage to the other. In the Colosseum, it's completely different. There is no wing. There's nowhere to hide. There's no curtain to hide behind. So it means that all scene changes were visible to the public. So it was a logistical nightmare because things weren't being moved from the side onto the stage, from the wings. They were coming up and down. Can you imagine that? There was no wings to hide behind, no curtain to hide behind. So when they were doing a scene change, they used to bring on mimes and musicians to try and distract your attention while they were trying to round up an errant giraffe or whatever else that they couldn't get back. So this is quite from a lot of the animals that kept on changing.
So you said it gets raised up. You said it was something about cranes.
So down here you've got 2 floor levels of a pit, and that pit had no natural light, no natural air vents. It's 2 stories deep, and that's where you'd keep, we estimate, something like 40 animals and 80 gladiators.
Wow.
And it would be linked by a tunnel underneath here to the barracks, which is across the road. You can't see it. It's on the other side of the road.
So underneath the ground there would be a tunnel?
It's still there, yeah. And it goes underneath this stage. And this gateway here is monumental. A lot of people are standing. I believe it's a monumental gateway. That was known as the Porta Libitinaria. Libitinaria was the goddess of death. And that's where all the dead bodies were dragged out, the animals.
Into there? Into that place they put the dead
underneath them. It takes you out of the Colosseum.
Oh.
So that was the entrance, the exit of death.
So what do they do with the dead bodies? Did they burn them or?
Yeah, they will be incinerated at the end of the day.
Wow. So was there like a cover on top?
We think so, yeah, but we can't actually reconstruct it. This is what you see today. And this is what it becomes. Well, this is what it was.
Wow, that beautiful white that you were talking about before.
So
Wow.
all the seating has gone. There's some seating there, but it's a partial reconstruction. That's wrong. Because at that level, you'd actually have the imperial boxes.
So the imperial box was there?
Well, you would have had the senatorial box. So the imperial box was here. The Vestal Virgins were down here. The senators were right on the ringside, going right the way around in boxes.
So they were on the first floor, so they got the front view.
You got the vestibule, yeah, ringside.
Oh, nice.
Seats. Then above them you had the equites, the knights. Then above them you had the plebs. Then above the plebs you'd have slaves and women.
So up here?
That parapet level up here.
Oh, there's this little.
That's the
So but that only covers up half the place.
Yeah, because it's collapsed.
Oh, the other stuff collapsed.
It collapsed in an earthquake in 1349.
Oh, I see.
Here we've got some of the gladiators. Look how big they were.
Yeah.
Here, this is a hunting scene.
No, that's amazing. That's beautiful. Wow.
The gladiators were big guys. Most of them were prisoners of war. Most of them were actually, they're all slaves. Most of them didn't want to fight. They hated Rome. Their life expectancy was quite low. They were treated like animals and were the social status of animals. They were the lowest of the low. They were known as the barley eaters because they were fed on porridge to beef them up as much as possible. They were bodybuilders. And they were pimped out basically by their owners who were known as lanista.
Oh, is that who do you think that wife of Septimius Severus, Lucilla, had Faustina II, Faustina Jr. had sex with in order to have
that's what
a sex with Commodus.
Yeah, that's what
Commodus, who claims that he was born of a gladiator. That's why he wanted to fight here, right?
Yeah, that's what they say. I don't know whether it's true.
That's what they say, because apparently there's a lot of stories about her being unfaithful to Marcus Aurelius, right?
Yeah, it's possible.
So yeah.
It's possible.
But at the same time, he has facial features of Marcus, so I don't know.
Well, he was very into. Can we move along a bit, please?
Yeah, let's go.
Now, he's given on the gas. We want to make
Now, this arena gets abandoned quite early on. As soon as the empire declines in the 6th century, it gets abandoned. It gets turned into a cemetery, and this gets filled up with bodies.
Oh, that whole bottom is
gets silted up, and then they fill it with bodies. It becomes a Christian cemetery, and they build churches. Here's 2 of them.
So what did they do with the bodies since it's Christian? It sounds like
because we're commemorating all the martyrdom of all the Christians that were killed here. So it becomes a place of pilgrimage. Because there's no place in Rome where more Christians were killed than the Colosseum. It was custom built for execution.
How many Christians died in here?
Well, the funny thing is that 20 years ago, experts said, you know, there must have been thousands and thousands of Christians killed here. Now they've become a little bit more prudent because there's no actual hard evidence to prove it. It's very, very likely. In fact, I believe that thousands died here, but you can't prove it. We've only got one contemporary source that tells us of the death of one Christian, Ignatius. That's the only one we know for sure was executed here out of the thousands that were undoubtedly executed here, but we can't prove it. So experts now are taking a step back a little. But pilgrims in the Middle Ages believed it. I believe it. But a lot of experts probably don't. They're not so sure now because we've got no hard evidence. It's very difficult to actually get a precise tour of the Colosseum. And if you go on someone's tour, what they'll actually give you is historical soup. Because what they're actually fishing up for you is anecdotal information over a 500-year period over the entire Roman Empire applicable to 100 different arenas, not just this one. So, for example, when they say to you that the gladiators were sprayed with bull's blood before they went on stage, that's just one reference in the source. Does that mean that it was applied to every arena throughout the entire Roman period? Do you see the problem? Yeah. Or when they say to you, you know, they say when they salute the emperor, they say Ave Cesare, nos moratori te salutamus. Those who are about to die salute you. It's one reference in the source. One guy heard it, but was it in every single arena, every single bout? It's rather like 2,000 years' time trying to generalise about Broadway shows. Do you see the problem we've got? We can't do it.
Well, wouldn't that be the same argument that they use, let's say, in the movie Zeitgeist, saying like Christ didn't exist and things like that, that there was not enough sources, and that Josephus is not a good enough source about the Christ?
Well, I've heard the theory that Christ didn't exist. I don't believe it. I think he did. There's too much evidence for it. But
what about St. Peter inside St. Peter's Square?
I think he's there. I think he's buried there.
You think that's his ashes, right?
No, it's not his ashes. It's bones. They found.
Oh, really?
They didn't find his feet. They found every single part of his body by his feet.
Why didn't they find feet?
Because I think because he was executed upside down, and when they took his body off, they just chopped his feet off. They didn't even try to take the bolt out of his feet. They just chopped his feet off and gave the body back to the Christians. The Christians, yeah, that would make sense. They found every other body part bar the feet, which is very unusual if you think about it.
Wow.
Not a single foot bone was found.
Wow. That's amazing.
If you want to look at some of the medieval structures, when it was fortified, there's a little bit of a medieval wall there. Can you see it? See where the seating is? And then can you see there's some different masonry style there, which isn't Roman.
Oh, that stuff where it looks like it's
White
modern.
stone. Where white stone. Look at the seating. Then look to the left of it, and you'll see this is like a triangle of stone built up against a brick.
Oh.
That's medieval.
Oh, so that collapsed before.
All
That's
this has
why.
collapsed. Yeah. Now this is like a sheet. Can you see where all this sheet of concrete is here?
Yeah.
These are all barrel vaults that have collapsed, and it's on top of the barrel vaults.
So
you have
is
the
that
seating.
original? Those things, so that it keeps
Yeah.
you from rain, pretty much, right?
Yeah, yeah, it's the original concrete. No, that's where the seating was. The seating was on
Oh.
top, and it's gone.
Oh.
It's all been pillaged.
So they would walk up behind those staircases.
Look where that little hole is there. Look at the steps. They'd come out of that hole, and then they'd come out onto the seating here. That's how it would work.
Oh.
So here, but on top of us, there was a sheet of concrete, and then we'd walk out from here, and the seating would be on top of us here.
Oh, so the seats would be right here. So they don't exist anymore. The stuff collapsed. Ah.
Got it?
Oh, that's interesting.
What else have we got? Here is an etching of the place in the 1700s. Look at it. It was a hanging garden
Oh, that's beautiful.
with a cross in it. All the pit was all silted over, so they didn't know it was there. And the botanist, British botanist, studying this in the 1800s, realised that all the plants weren't indigenous, they all came from North Africa.
Oh.
And the only explanation for it is that these were seeds brought over in the pelts of the animals in the Roman period that were deposited here in the feces of the animals and everything else. And it created this microclimate.
Huh.
Because they weren't Italian plants, they were North African.
Oh,
And it's all been cleaned up now.
interesting.
That's a little bit to show you. I think that's about it. And the stage, if you want to see how it worked, there's the stage here, and that's how it works underground. And here you can actually see how this sheath of concrete would have supported the seats and the entrances and exits.
Oh. Wow. That's amazing.
Let's talk a little bit about the gladiator.